Billie Creek Village is a very unique location in the heart of the covered bridge capital of the world. Tucked away on a 70-acre plot of land in a wooded area of rural Rockville, Indiana, it is made up of a collection of 38 historic buildings, most of which happen to be haunted. All of the buildings within the village were built in the 1800s and early 1900s and relocated there from their original locations. Created with the intention of a project to save the history of the county, it was established in 1960. The plan entailed preserving these buildings to serve the public as a living history village. However, as visitors began to flood the site for tours, people started reporting apparent paranormal encounters while there. Billie Creek Village is steeped in generations of mingling history, thanks to its eclectic collection of old buildings. However, upon further research of these buildings, it was found that some were linked to paranormal activity even before their relocation. The last owner of the Civil War house is documented to have been so concerned about a haunting in the home that they actually hired and paid people to come into the farmhouse and attempt to rid it of the ghosts. It is reported that the attempts never seemed successful, and the family eventually left the home and its restless spirits behind. It is believed that during their relocation, the spirits and energies that inhabited the buildings remained attached to them and moved with them. While the origins of many of these energies remain uncertain, it is known that the owners and inhabitants of some of the residences would have died there. The most haunted locations within this Village of the Dead include the Civil War farmhouse. This area is widely considered by many to be the most creepy on the premises. Though the year of the home's construction is uncertain, it is known to have been built during the Civil War era by a man named Evan Stokes. Its original location was in Union Township of Parke County, Indiana, on a tract of land that was granted by the 5th President of the United States, James Monroe. Evan Stokes married Sarah Burton, and to them was born 5 girls and 5 boys. 3 of the boys sadly died in or just after childbirth. The home was moved to Billie Creek Village in 1975. 30 years ago, an entire group of women who were tasked to tend to the farmhouse began having so many frightening encounters that they refused to work there. This was an era when the paranormal was not generally accepted or embraced. The caretakers were able to find a paranormal research team and enlisted them to investigate the property. The team was said to have collected evidence that supported claims of the paranormal, but once again were unable to rid the property of the entities who were causing the activity. Paranormal encounters within and around the home include the overwhelming feeling of a dark presence, the voice of a man, sometimes captured on audio recording devices, or even sometimes heard out loud, who is often angry and yelling, and he is not afraid to act out to get people's attention. People have reported having their hair tugged and clothing pulled. Other accounts include the sound of a baby crying, unexplained human-shaped shadows darting around the house or peeking in and out of doorways and windows, and unexplained sounds of footsteps, tappings, and thuds that echo around the home. The schoolhouse. Huxford Schoolhouse was built in 1913 as one of the last one-room schoolhouses in Parke County, Indiana. Students in grades 1 through 8 studied under the direction of a single teacher. Lessons were taught from September to late March, and the structure was used to teach students for 15 years. With only a wood-burning stove to keep warm and no running water, diseases spread rapidly amongst classmates, and sadly, many did not survive their childhood years. The school was donated to the village in 1968. It was intentionally placed to face south, just as it did in its original location. Visitors and paranormal investigators to this building commonly experience playful, childlike energies who will seem to run around the schoolhouse, knock on walls, manifest direct responses to questions, and engage in games. The schoolhouse even made the local news in 2017 when the apparition of a small child was captured on camera by a girl who was touring the village. The Catholic Church. Though there are two churches within the village, a Catholic and a Baptist church, it is the Catholic one that tends to surprise visitors with ghostly experiences. Constructed in 1859, restless spirits from that time seem to linger within the building. The low muttering of voices, chairs moving on their own, and the movement of unexplained shadows have been encountered by many. Even more astonishing, paranormal investigators have gotten responses through communication devices that are in Latin, the official language of the Catholic Church. The Governor's House. The 10th Governor of Indiana, Joseph A. Wright, lived in this home with his wife Louisa in the early to mid-1800s. After their marriage, they had one son, but Louisa had several bouts of malaria that prevented her from having any additional children. They subsequently adopted a daughter in 1832. Unexplained shadows of human-like figures are commonly witnessed in this building as well. Though these are the areas that seem to host the most activity, it seems the entire village is imprinted with energies that never left. The town square in the middle of the property has been known to produce sounds of children laughing, screaming, and even crying. Apparitions have appeared within the town's general store as well. Other buildings that comprise this village include an antiquated doctor's office, bank, and post office. Oh, and don't forget the famous covered bridges. In September of 2024, I participated in a Paranormal Access Events weekend that hosted paranormal investigations of Billie Creek Village and the nearby Indiana State Sanatorium. During the event, I made some friends, and we teamed up to investigate these locations together. Keep watching our videos to witness what we experienced. But first, here is also a bit of history regarding an inn I stayed at while there. Should you dare to brave an investigation at any of these locations, or even if you decide to enjoy one of the many day tours, consider staying at an equally unique location, the Old Jail Inn, Parke County. This inn encourages you to spend the night behind bars. On the downtown square in Rockville, Indiana, it boasts that it is probably the only place where you can stay overnight in a jail cell because you want to, not because you have to. It houses 9 cells that served as Parke County's third jail from 1879 to when the prisoners left in 1998. Today, the cells serve as overnight rooms for guests. Each is themed with decor to match. I stayed in the Bonnie and Clyde suite. Other rooms include the John Dillinger, Al Capone, and Thelma and Louise. The inn houses an array of artifacts and memorabilia, including the booking documents for Frank Sinatra, notating his reason for arrest: seduction. The original switchboard that controlled the locks to all of the jail cells, an original jail toilet, and jail-issued balls and chains. Just below the jail is the Drunk Tank Winery, a small eclectic place to gather with friends or make new ones, and enjoy non-traditional and fun, interactive wine tastings. It is actually housed in the basement, just next to the room that served as the actual drunk tank during its years as a jail. Travel further into the basement and you can peer into a tunnel that would have served for prisoner isolation. Behind the jail is the boiler house that was a forerunner in technology of the times because it used hot water that heated not only the sheriff's office and jail, but was piped underground through a tunnel to heat the courthouse across the street as well. The jail, courthouse, and boiler room were designed by the same architect from Fort Wayne, Indiana, Thomas J. Tulin. The boiler house was also the site of the last hanging in Parke County, that of Earl Stout in 1888. Employees and visitors to the inn have reported incidents that lead them to believe it could be haunted. This includes items moving on their own inside of the Drunk Tank wine bar. The bartender reported that on more than one occasion she has heard people talking and called out to let them know she would be right with them, only to turn the corner and find no one was there. She also said a hat once unexplainably flew off its perch on the hat rack and landed firmly on the floor. Disembodied footsteps are a frequent claim from visitors and workers, described like heavy footfalls of a jail guard forever making their rounds through the cell blocks. Visitors and workers have also spotted mysterious figures and ghostly forms around the inn. My first night at the inn, I was the only guest staying there, which allowed me to explore it fully. While I did not perform a formal paranormal investigation, I did keep an eye and an ear out for anything suspicious, and I did encounter something quite intriguing. I was laying in bed watching a video on my laptop when a circular light traced along the wall of my cell. I watched it disappear and began shifting my laptop around, wondering if movement from it could have cast a glare. When I saw no light reflecting onto the wall, I slowly closed my laptop and sat quietly in the dark. When again, the circular light traced along the wall next to me, this time traveling to the ceiling before disappearing. I was on the second floor, and the only window to the room was drawn with curtains, and at the opposite end of the cell from where the light was traveling. I walked around the cell for a bit and explored, but my attempts to identify the source of light were unsuccessful. It was as if a night guard had been doing their rounds, shining a flashlight into my cell, sweeping it through to make sure all inmates were tucked in for the night. And though there was no guard employed at the inn, perhaps they were checking in from the ghostly realm.